In 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in pursuit of fame, success, and wealth. 500 years later, a different man has sailed across the ocean, come from a foreign country to America in pursuit of his dreams. That man, Veno, and his dream of being once again a 4-time FNCS champion. Today we break down how Veno and Curve managed to do just that. Kicking things off, they are already going to be able to get up damage this game. One of the benefits of North Battlewood is the amount of glide control they have. What I consider glide control is any drop that naturally has teams glide over them. As we can see, there are a lot of arrows already over in this area. We have Riptides, and we have the two teams contesting Gas Station. Both of those teams fall under the glide control that Veno has. They are both within his render, and they are both easy damage for him to get. Because of this, every single game, when Curve and Veno know that they're going to be uncon, they mainly aim to get as much damage off on them as they can. The more damage they get there, the more of a cushion they have the rest of the mid-game, enabling them to do a lot more risky actions, as well as they can just sit and be idle without much consequence. That is one of the most important aspects of this new surge. You want to try and get as big of a cushion as you can early, and then you can convert that cushion into safety. Veno really loves to terrorize these teams to his south. Part of the reason for doing so is because it gives him a lot of control over the space. In a lot of the games day one, what Curve and Veno would do is they would lurk down towards this south side and essentially bully these teams out. What this has converted to is essentially in day 2, they have all of this space for themselves for free. If you add that to the 400 damage cushion they already have, they are in a perfect spot this game in order to kind of just cruise without doing much. Add on to that, they already pull a very good zone, and this is going to be a very easy game for them. This is where I think we get into the basic mid-game mindset of Veno and Curve. I think we can surmise how they play most mid-games you're going to watch in this video into a default setup. I take that term from CSGO and Valorant. In CSGO and Valorant, every single game, you are going to do a default setup, which is just the basic setup you do in order to gain map control. Maybe that's 2A, 2B, 1 middle, whatever it is, most teams have a default setup. On Fortnite, in Fortnite, teams also have a default setup. For Veno and Curve, what their default setup is on South Zones is they are going to have Curve up here every single game, and he's going to control all of this space. He's not going to let any team get through. This space over here kind of can't do anything about it, but he can control this space. He can prevent any team from getting into Battlewood from this north side. With that said, Veno is then going to play roaming simulator around this area, just being a rat and being fully unpredictable. Because of how unpredictable Veno is in just the general area around Battlewood, teams can't comfortably try and lurk him. He takes a different route every single game, he loots it differently, he is constantly crouching. Teams know not to mess with North Battlewood because Veno can literally be anywhere. They call him a rat for a reason because he really is one. Tries to lurk over, tries to get a little funny business, but again, the amount of respect the lobby gives him because of what he did day 1 conditioning. Every single game he was running it down, scaring the South Battlewood team. They are now playing over here. They were scared all of day 1, and teams know that if they go into Battlewood, there is going to be a lurking Veno somewhere inside the POI, essentially grants him full control over all of this space thanks to their default setup. You are going to see this setup from them basically every single mid-game on day 2 because of the zones they pulled. This is the only moment where you could probably question the mid-game from this game, simply because they are so delayed getting into this zone. Now, I'm normally of the mindset that that would be bad, but the way Veno and Curve approach mid-game is very, very unique, and it's very similar to the other Battlewood team, which I'm going to be making a video on later, which is Sky and Scroll. The hardest rotate is going to be the rotate into the 4th zone. The reason for that is because you have the most teams around Edge. Because of that, when you rotate from, let's say, here or where Curve is into this edge, you're going to be forced to burn a lot of mats, going to be forced to burn his heals, and you're going to lose some of that damage cushion. Then if you get a rotate down, let's say over here, you have to rotate with all of these other players, you have to burn more mats, more heals, and it's going to be a rough journey. The solution to that is you save your heals, you sit here, and then you wait for the next zone to appear. You essentially still get the benefits of doing the tanking zone strat, but you do not have to deal with any of the downside of sitting in zone for the entire time and having to give up a ridiculous amount of whites. Zone pops, and again, if they were on this bridge position when it pulled down, they would have to collide with a lot of congestion. But instead, they control this space, behind them, so no team's going to get past them, and they're going to have a very easy lane in to the ideal edge they want, without really having to burn too many mats. This is the strategy that really was pioneered by Sky and Scroll. I think it's really strong if you're like a semi-mid-map-ish spot, as well as just a mid-map spot. So they pop medkits, they've been juggling for forever, pop a fizz, they shock, and now, in one fell swoop, they are in. Notice how they get in a little bit off edge. This is so that they have prio on next zone if they want to prio getting deep. Instead, if they had just stopped right here on this edge, they would be with everyone else. They would not have prio, but now they have this really good prio if next zone were to pull deep. One of the consistent things you'll see from Veno is he gets in a little bit off edge on 5th zone when he can, so he has that prio on zone, and then they get absolutely blessed. Something I want to really quickly note is one of the advantages Curve and Veno have from having all of that glide control as well as just the zones they pulled on day 2 is that they are able, let me just skip a little forward so you don't have to be blinded by the sun. We love Fortnite replays. One of the benefits of their drop in terms of both positioning and glide control is that they have a win condition in the form of their inventory. You've probably already noticed. They do not have to hold Nemesis ARs in endgame. Half the lobby does, they do not. Having double spray guns is one of the key reasons why they drop so many kills. They are able to apply pressure to players that very often do not have any mats, where most lobby can simply not do anything comparable. Veno right here, as zone starts to shrink, shifts his focus. This is something that I really like to see. You see like a lot of top teams do this, where they're already ready to go if zone pulls max. So let's say zone had pulled all the way across their west. They would have a very good shockwave down here, get pretty deep, and they would have prio on zone. They get the nice pullback though, but it's always good to be ready for that pull. I say this a lot. When people say like you have to be ready to go instant when zone pops, they mean instant. It does not mean, oh, we are going to start looking at the zone when zone pops, but being ready for that worst case scenario zone. They didn't get the worst case scenario zone, but it's important to still be ready for it. Now we get to see why having spray guns and just really high DPS guns in general is so important in the endgame. Now, there isn't actually a cone there, but Veno's probably that good that wouldn't matter. Sprays again. Player can't react. Even if he did, probably would have been bled. Once we get that kill, we shift focus, we get in, we get deep. Something that's very similar to old Queasy tech is that when you are stacked in these zones, Queasy used to do this a lot in trios, when you are stacked in these zones, it is worth to invest. This is the #1 crash out zone, where there is going to be a lot of players in this lobby that simply do not have anything. And making sure you are in a position to avoid those shameless players. Look how poor this lobby is. God, couldn't be me in my tax bracket. If you can avoid the poor players, you are in a perfect position. You have to be like Steph Curry. Zone pulls back. Tries to go for a double spray. Doesn't really work, but again, they have the ability to be productive that not many teams in this lobby really do. Ready? Go for a shock. One of the advantages to being aware of the lobby you are in is that you were able to get away with things like this. So, I'm going to take a quick little glance around the lobby real quick. you might notice that there is a name that really you're not noticing here. That name is Clix and Higgs. Clix and Higgs are already dead in this endgame, and Clix and Higgs are basically the only team that would play an early high ground in Grands. Because there is no team playing an early high ground here, Veno and Curve can get the easiest shockwave of their life, can play this elevated mid ground, burning very few mats, really having one of the easiest rotates of their entire lives. Being able to recognize if there is or if there is not a height is so important in this meta. If there is not a height on first moving, it is so easy to have a nearly flawless rotate because you do not need to invest mats early on. I've already talked about this next aspect on Twitter, but I think this is really strong. Veno loves to get prio on zone, that way you can convert that prio into kills. Don't follow me on Twitter, PeanutBrainTS. Quick little plug. Veno looks down, sees Reed as a solo. Remember, he's already invested into this tarp. Pre-shocks, zone pulls max, is able to run over, able to look down, and he's able to convert this position into a kill. Part of the reason why converting this position to a kill is so valuable in this meta is for two reasons. One, it can give you win condition. Any kill you get in this current meta is a potential win condition. The reason why is simple. If they get a kill on Reed and he has cap mats, Curve has med mist. They can just say, screw it, throw in the med mist, and then go up onto height. Second is it's a lot more forgiving. Because of the amount of whites you have in this meta, it is a lot easier for you to get a kill and then reset frontside. Last season, with that meta, you only really had slurps and medkits. It was very hard to reset frontside with medkits and a wingsuit. However, this season with shockwaves, it is very easy to do so. So being aggressive in positions like this is a lot more forgiving. So converting those prio on position into kills rather than continuing to get frontside is something very Veno-esque, and I think it's a very cool little theory thing that Veno has done to really be able to increase his kills in Grands. The shockwave is where this endgame does get a little bit scary. Curve, really good individual skill there in order to get out of that kind of sticky, some might even call it hairy, you get it, hairy situation, and ends up getting to Veno. From here, once again, the power of double spray weapons is going to be shown. Veno tries to go for that body, sees the team go for it, instantly leaves it. Uses the expanding side of zone. I've talked about this before. Expanding side of zone, always super strong to get to after you stagger. The reason why is because there will always be open space on the expanding side. Now that the transition has popped, they are going to try and develop their win condition. Tarps out a little bit. He does not want to be the first team that goes for it on the transition. This is actually something I've theory crafted before. You do not want to instantly go for height on the transition. The reason why is because so many teams do it. So, what do? We go back, after topping out a little bit, we use our splashes, we use our pizza. The idea here is to be the last team to go for it on this transition. I talk about it a bunch, how top 20 players is usually the key time to really clue in on focusing on your win condition, and this is a perfect example of it. They go back, they delay it, they do not throw down med mist until they are ready to go. You do not want to give height any information. And now, from this, they soar like a bird. And they are going to keep using shockwaves to get up again after landing. This is where height definitely does get a little sketchy due to their mats. I really like this play. So what they do is they essentially use that med mist as like a mat supplement. So because they med mist and then fizz shock up, they can basically just like live on the fact that they have like no mats for like an extra like 5-ish seconds and then just play off someone's build. I really like that play. Find it really creative. Veno ends up getting a kill from that play, gets back up, and now from here they have kind of their own win condition in just the fact that they are a duo, as well as the fact they're on height. Every single player in this lobby is seemingly poor. If we pan the camera down real quick, you can kind of see it. It's a ghost town. It's not looking good. It's looking like 1940. It looks like the Great Depression. From here, similar thing where they use Fizz, drop down. Dragu tries to be a hero and go up. Now this play is actually going to be interesting. I wanted to include this game in particular because even though they don't win the game, I think this game still shows a lot about a lot you can take away from. Because Envy Tyler H goes absolutely bananas in this endgame. I think it shows off a lot of what you need to do if you want to be able to win 1v2 situations. So Veno and Curve just apply as much pressure as they can, keep spraying, and this is where things start to go wrong for them. If you're a solo in a 1v2, the number one thing you want to do is isolate ones. You cannot win a 1v2 by simply trying to outdamage the duo. You need to isolate ones. Perfect timing on this. As Veno drops down, Envy Tyler Age lucks out, gets the timing there, is able to shock up. He then is able to isolate a 1, gets a big pump off. He trades damage with Curve, but again, because Veno is now taken out of this fight, because Curve and Veno did not take it exactly as a duo, Curve stayed up while Veno dropped. Tyler able to swing into that right peak, flies through it, kills Curve. Now it's a 1v1. Tyler has height, drops, gets a good shot off while he drops. And again, because he was able to isolate 2 1v1s, he gave himself the opportunity to win this game. So you might not be able to process what just happened there, but I can tell you, Tyler went crazy. So that's the first game I want to show you. I'm not actually showing you these games in order. That was game 8. I'm now going to go back and show you game 2. Like I said, these games are not going to really be in order because I think game 8 was one of the best games. I'm going to go game 7 now, then in game 10, then game 11. So it's a little bit out of order, but I wanted to start with game 8 because I wanted to start off by going over mainly that end game theory stuff. This next game, though, I think has some very, very good height end game theory. I really like the height take that Curve and Veno did this game. This game also is actually a win. You love to see it. Also, isn't that wallpaper tough? Look how tough that is. Players are hiding in a building, knock it down. Take that info chat. Take it and run with it. Alright. So now we're going to see a similar concept this game to last game. What they do is they always want to maximize their glide control. It is the top thing they want to do. They want to get as much damage as they can out the air every single game. Look over. Nothing really much this game. But again, they have glide control even on this team all the way back here onto Toronto. I'm going to skip forward a little bit just so we get rid of this double HUD bug. Still somehow in the game. Epic, please fix this. Please, this is my only stream of income. My only stream of income is Fortnite YouTube. Please fix this. From this very similar zone to the first game, so we're going to see a very similar sort of gameplay out of them. Curve is going to be in charge of creating just like their static position, which is going to be their control over the hill, while Veno is going to be the roamer, being super active, just getting around the POI, looking for damage, just spamming shocks. Part of the reason why he's able to get away with that is because there's so much loot in Battlewood Boulevard that he's always going to find extra shocks, so he can just be spamming shocks, flying around, and they almost always leave the shocks they get from the little llama area. That way he always has like an emergency stash of shockwaves. By the way, Veno loves to camp in this building. He is actually obsessed with it. So the idea here is that Curve right now is not really controlling this space yet. Aminish and Javi just now got to here. This team is just now based in here. Rezi is kind of a wild card. There's definitely potential for him to push in. So Curve can't really control his space from this default setup. So what do? They make an adjustment. They have Veno play from out of there, comes up here, goes for a lurk real quick until he's certain that team's not pushing in, and then he can go back to what he's doing. But if this team tries to push in, tries to get a refarm here, Veno is going to be right here ready to punish them. Having that default setup you like go to every single game when you pull, and then having basically decision trees based off of that is so strong and makes really decisions like this and plays like this super easy. Veno once again tries to go for the lurk. Team gets underneath curve. Not really too sketched out about it. This team is like very, very composed. So even though there is a team directly underneath curve, they know that curve at any moment can just shock out. As long as he stays aware of this team below him, not really much consequence. And now Veno once again back to his lurking ways. He has a stack of extra shockwaves, just continuing to just shock around, just looting around, getting all the mats back that they've used, extra heals, everything. Eventually, curve does get sketched out. They retreat back to this position, little deep edge off zone. I just really enjoy this little sneak play he does. But again, similar to last game, they could have very easily based on this edge over here, right? And then like bid closer to the edge, held more players. But they very intentionally based on like the middle, little farther edge. So if zone pulls far, they have prio once again. They're a bit closer. You always want to be prepared for worst case scenario in low mobility metas like this. So because they were staggered there, and were not immediately able to react to that zone because Veno was still farming, they use a Fizz Bomb in order to catch up, and then once again, they get a little deep. They invest mats here to get in deep. They do not want to be on this hard edge of 5th. Instead, they would rather be in a little bit deep, facing the wall of players. That way they can utilize their spray guns. Because if they are here, and the lobby congests in this area, they can just spray at all the teams fighting, and they can very easily net kills from this position, as well as damage, and they still keep control of their prio on position. Once again, making sure every single game they have double spray gun. You are never going to see them leave their drop without double spray gun. They always want to have double spray gun. End up netting 2 kills from that, even able to get the refresh from it. It's not a very strong refresh, but again, because they didn't need many mats in the first place, even though it's not a particularly strong refresh, it's still a refresh nonetheless. From this point on, there are very few teams in the lobby that are more stacked than them, and another note, Veno, once again, ready to shockwave instantly, tarps up, not towards one specific direction, but towards the middle. That way he can insta-react and pulls up, he can shockwave this way and then go up, pulls this way, he can go this way. He can instantly react and be in a good spot no matter where it pulls if he wants to react. The most important thing about Fortnite is giving yourself the ability to play Fortnite your way. By being in this position, he can choose to stagger or go early if he wants. It's his decision. You always want to be able to control your own destiny when it comes to Fortnite. That is the #1 thing. If you cannot control your own destiny when it comes to Fortnite, you are at the whims of RNG. Controlling your own destiny is everything. I really like this play, by the way. Instead of going from the top, they go from the bottom just below it. So you have like this like sort of like fake thing, so people are going to expect them to shock out from there. I think it's just like a bit clever from Veno right there. They fly in, they get together. Once again, same concept as last game. Because Veno has so many mats entering the 7th zone, he's going to make a lot of space. He's always going to invest. Think of Steph Curry. You don't want to be near the poor people in the lobby. You want to stay in your own neighborhood. Once again, really good damage potential. Almost a kill from the double spray guns. Things get super sketchy based off their landing point, but they're able to get out of it. Very dangerous position they landed in. Once again, they were... Let me just back that up because it lagged. They were roughly here in this area, right? Let me make it a different color so it's a little more visible. They were roughly here in this area. What he did was he cut south, and then cut in. That way he gets towards its expanding side and open space. When you are staggered, you want to get to open space. You want to get to open space. You want to get to open space. Same concept once again as last game. He invests in very heavily into this second moving in order to have prio on next zone. He can then use this space, use his double spray gun, try and convert it into something. He's ready to go if it pulls max. And they're off. Things do get a little sketchy because Veno gets caught, but able to land, able to establish space. Curve able to get to him. This is probably the Veno classic when it comes to how to aggress. Veno's signature play and like how he like generally like views like aggression is Veno lands, he invests space. We have 3 boxes. He then immediately turns and faces his eyes backside. He always looks backside for his kills. Once he lands, he looks backside, he sees Agers with a body, immediately goes backside, starts pressing Agers. Agers not able to get out, and now he gets the refresh of a lifetime. He's up to 1,000 mats. Curve still has good mats as well. Again, this is what I was referring to the previous game where I talked about how much more forgiving this meta is about staggering for kills. As long as you already have whites, it is not very punishing. He's able to stagger backside, wrap around, and now find himself once again on an elevated mid-ground position, over-investing in order to gain prio. Really, really strong pre there. I honestly adore that. I'm actually going to play that back. I want to play that back because I really kind of sped through that, and I think this is one of the best plays I saw in all of Rant. I adored this play from Veno. We see visuals go there. He knows visuals of solo. He stops. He gets the pre. Goes, yo, curve, come here. Aggro's it. Gets the pre. Instantly pushes through, instantly resets, claims the space. It's a beautiful, 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 beautiful pre. Now they have the mats to go for their win condition. And again, it's a very similar time to last game. Looks up, crouches back. Again, you want to give height as little information as you can when you go for height. You do not want to give them any information. They crouch, then they run back. Run back super, super far, essentially giving them no chance. Another cool thing I really liked about this is that they are not going for height here on the transition. I feel like most teams go for height on the transition, but they are instead going for it before the transition. There is 9 seconds here. I really, really like this because I don't think there's a world where I am enough in Salt are expecting a team this deep to go for height right now. It is so, so, so unexpected. Every single team, normally when they go for height, goes for it on the transition. They wait for this zone to close, and then they go, oh, it's pulling south, let's go for height, let's stagger with mid-miss. But Veno and Curve are already going for it before that transaction actually happens. So right now, Salt and Enough, part of their mind is going, yo, where is zone going to go? Their focus isn't fully on awareness right now. And so Veno just has this perfect timing on it. Enough looking at his zone, like being like, oh, we gotta go north. Same with Salt. They get absolutely punished. They don't get the body, but because Salt and Enough are so high, Veno doesn't really have to worry about anyone going up at this very moment. He's able to go out, he's able to clear down, and then from here, it's a very easy height game because they're so elevated, no team can really get up here to really do anything. They just start spamming cones so they can't get chopped. And now at this point, the only teams that can get up are teams that are med-mist. So as long as they just spray the med-mist teams, no one can do anything. And then it's just spray. I just love the theory behind why Veno went for height there before the transition happened. I adore it. I know that it was mainly inspired in the moment by him just seeing height and like his mats. But I just love the idea why going for height there before that transition, when height is so established and so high up, why it works. I adore it. I just, chef's kiss. Mwah. This is just a God Lurk by Veno. Drops down, plays on their cone. Because Curve is like still so high, they just think, oh, they're both up. Jumps out. 200 Sphinx. What can Muzz do now? What can Muzz do? Fighting Prime LeBron. So that is their first win of day 2. So that is their game 7. So from there, we're going to skip a little far forward. You might be able to hear me turn the page. That's because I'm turning the page on both my notes. And we're turning pages on history. Because Veno is that good. And he's writing a new chapter. We're going to go over now their 10th game. And then we're going to close it out with their 11th game. Okay. There we go. Had to confirm twice. So nice, you had to do it twice, you know? Had to get some refreshments, get some ice cold water coursing through my veins to power through this. So we're going to watch Curve get this kill out the air, and then we're going to real quickly fast forward so we get rid of this double HUD, but let's just appreciate Curve. So once again, they prioritize glide control. So they know they have no real glide control on any of these teams over here, right? They can't really do anything on the 2 teams Riptides, the 2 teams Gas Station, this team. They have no glide control on that. But what they do have is they have glide control in the teams 15 here, team going here, and the team going here. So they're going to capitalize on that glide control. If you are ever in a set lobby and you know for a fact you're going to be on con, playing for glide control is so important. Even if you aren't certain if you're going to be uncon, taking that gamble can many times be worth. Because if you get 5 games of uncon with glide control, but you die 1 time due to surprise con, that honestly might be worth. Runs over, max GG's, it was GG's, and Mopping Bird, mopping the floor with you. Now we're going to fast forward a little, just so we can get rid of that double HUD setup. And now from here, it's going to be a very similar thing that we've already seen. These zones on day 2, in all honesty, were very favorable for Curve and Veno. I don't think that is why they succeeded. If you watch the game or the day 1 VODs, while they did choke a lot of end games, their mid games were still super strong. The problem was that they were not able to convert those good mid games into strong end games. The number one thing I noticed was the 5th zone positioning on day 1. I'm not going to really go into any day 1 game, but day 1, Veno played a lot closer to edge on zone 5, whereas I think he was able to play a bit deeper on zone 5. I think he gave himself more freedom of positioning and a bit more of that controlling your own destiny going into day 2, where he was able to control just the rotational aspects of how he played. So you already know what's about to happen. Default setup every single game. Drops heals, runs back, gets loot. Curve already with a spray gun. Veno, same thing. Continues to roll around. But again, because of how strong their default is, look at this map control. Look at it. Look at it. Pause. I know half of you that are watching your kids. Go show this to your mom. Look at how beautiful this is. Look at it. Every single Boulevard team clears out. The team that's down here, they run for their life. The team Mansion, they're gone. Who knows where they are? There's 8 teams in Sanctuary. Who knows what's happening? There's some teams over here. They've all cleared out of this space. This is part of the reason why getting that early damage cushion is so important. You cannot reliably guarantee every single mid-game your Surge base is going to get you damage. And so if you do not have that early cushion, you put yourself in very dire straits. I talked about this before on Twitter. Once again, shameless plug, x.com/PeanutBrainTS. But if you are playing true neutral Surge, like teams that played edge map, like Thomas and Focus on EU, or Clicks and Higgs in some of their games. If you play true neutral surge, you find yourself, if you get a bad 6-zone rotate, your game is screwed. Because that 6-zone rotate is so punishing. It's very difficult if you get a bad 6-zone pull to be able to play the game without taking damage. So having a cushion early is so important. In this game, Curve has seen almost not one because of the respect the lobby has for their default setup, because they're fearful of Veno lurking on them, because they're fearful of Veno keying them, and Curve has kind of conditioned everyone in this area to go, yo, avoid this surge base. And so because of that, they really don't have that much damage to guarantee. So making sure you have that early cushion to avoid games like this is so important. Again, because Curve was able to go down and get all that damage onto that fight from their glide control, they're able to avoid this disastrous situation. Now, similar thing to the other game where it's just going to be sitting here waiting. This game, they're going to go in a bit earlier. But it's a similar idea. This game, even though they went in before the next zone appeared, part of the reason why they did that is because this is a zone where you can get a really bad one. Any zone on this top half is very punishing if they leave from here. However, if they are already here, they can just do a quick fizz shock, double shock, whatever they want to do. They can just do a duo shock into 2 solo shocks. They can do a fizz shock. They can do a fizz shock into 2 solo shocks. They have a lot more plays to be able to get in here, and it again avoids the disastrous zone. Sometimes if you are playing zone, it's worth to give it up in order to get in to make sure you don't have that disaster zone. So Impulse Max, they start running out. And again, if they were still in Battlewood, this is probably as forgiving as the bad zone could have been, as they would have came in on that riverside. But because they had already came in, they're able to avoid any risk of a disastrous zone. Again, another very strong spray. This is what I mean though, by if you get a bad 5th zone or a bad 6th zone, it's almost impossible to navigate that zone without taking at least some damage. It's kind of just how Fortnite works. If you get a far zone pull, you will take damage. So having as good of a cushion as you can possibly get leading up to that is so important. Then they do a similar concept, but later. They pack up their pizza, and then they start crouch walking and they wait. Because if they pulls this way, they can just insta-shock, and then they have the same option if it pulls right. So I have to get in here. Again, this is the beauty of double spray guns, especially the pistol. I think the pistol all season long has been really underrated. The pistol has bleed potential as well as a 2x headshot multiplier. That is so strong. And now it's just going to just Christmas, Magma, dead, bleeds, headshot, G-Money, can't get out in time, absolute god, refresh. They go from being on death's door to being back. They get control of any machine too, which means they can get absolutely stacked. Everything their heart desires, they can get. Prioritizes building on that congested side rather than doing damage. And then once again, they try and get in just a little bit deep. They're not deep, but they're just a little bit deep, off edge, a little bit deeper than most of these other teams, and they invest heavily into this zone. Very heavily into this zone. Zone pops. Player in front of them goes insta. They're able to once again punish them with double spray guns, and this is the 3rd kill of the game that they have gotten because of spray guns. Once once again able to get ahead early and then convert that spray guns. They do not want to be the last team to get in here, and then when they get into that 7th zone position, they always overinvest, even when they aren't that rich. Curve drops all of his hardest to Veno. Look forward, Peterbot goes. They go to try and rest the solo who's still there, and then they look at Pollo. Bit of a misrotate from Peterbot and Pollo there, and Curve and Veno are able to capitalize on it. But they're able to capitalize on it because of their aggression. They see Peterbot go as a solo, and then they immediately go to capitalize on that by aggressing the solo Pollo. From that, they get an absolute god refresh. Look back again. And once again, spray guns nets them another kill. They are already up to 7 kills. It is 4 points per kill in Grants. This is already a pretty good game simply off the back of kills. As long as they just keep living, this is going to be a great game. Same idea as before. They're ready to go instantly if it pulls max. If you're going to go instantly, you want to go instantly. And now they're able to take cut off front low. So I already talked about this on Twitter once again, shameless plug, but I think this is one of the coolest plays I saw in all of Grands, and I think it's one of the most applicable gameplay moments you're going to see in all of this. Normally when people go for this play, so Veno goes out here, and he sees this team, and he places a ramp, and then he places a wall. Most of the time people do this play, they place a wall, edit it, and then place a ramp. This is not protection. The way Fortnite audio works is, it amplifies in endgame, it has so many different sounds, that it amplifies sounds within a 1 block radius. This is why if you're in a box right here and your wall gets sprayed, you can react to it, but if this wall far gets sprayed, you don't hear it. It's because it amplifies sounds in a 1 box radius. This ramp is further than a 1 box radius. So if someone sprays that ramp, it doesn't actually like prioritize in the Fortnite audio. Because of this, Veno and Curve, NA Grands winners, 2 of the best players in the region on the world, Veno, 4x FNCS winner, when they look back and spray, Seek and Taki immediately pre-edit them, and they don't react. This is 2 of the best players in the world, and they don't react. The ramp doesn't really add actual protection until the wall is hardened, because you can't hear the ramp get broken. Curve and Veno absolutely haul ass out of that box, are able to get out of there. And once again, this is why having whites is so important. When things go awry, when things get sketchy, they go, they get into zone, and they don't panic. They take their time. Staggering is so forgiving in this meta. Now they reset, they get front, and they are chilling. Almost goes up, battles high ground, decides not to. But again, them just living here gives them a chance in this game. Once again, looking down, they know there's a team there. Rapid does a good job of blocking off his angle so he doesn't get pre-pumped. As they go up there, Clicks and Higgs drop down onto Curve. Things start to get really sketch. Curve tries to drop down. No mats, forced to fight Clicks. Does not win the aim duel, and then falls down even more into a duo. This is where Veno really makes his mark as why he's one of the best players of all time. I think, I remember seeing a quote. Sometimes you gotta stop being an analyst and you gotta be a fan. So I'm just gonna let this beauty of a solo clutch play. And not interrupt it, not pause it. Let's talk over it a little because god damn, Veno's good. Slides in, kills Taki. Just beautiful, man. Just beautiful. Sees that player placed a wall, instantly goes back up, gives himself time to heal. Not really anything in that chug jug, but still. because he doesn't pressure that wall, he's able to once again stagger, buy himself some more space on the zone. Finds himself in his own old edits from before. Mantle's up. 167. Oh, it's a beauty. Stays below, doesn't panic, plays his siphon. 150. Nearly kills Osid. Runs in. It's 0 mats. Grabs some brick there. Drops down, kills Osid. Shocks up, 150 onto a Minished. Mantle's there to catch himself. Shocks off of wall edited like it's cray. Playing sky bases. Low-key whiffs there. The shame could have won this. But just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful solo clutch there. The only advice I can really, the only analysis I can really give off that game is be Veno. Be Veno. And now with that, we're going to go into game 11. The reason why I want to talk about this game is because I think they do like a bit different from their mid game in terms of like the default setup. They also get a lot of kills, and this is kind of what cements them as FNCS champion. Alright, game number 11. This game gave them such a commanding lead that on literally, unless they literally died off spawn and someone dropped like a 12 kill win, they basically had it in the bag. They then had a great read on Peterball last game. They don't get any real damage from their glide control this game. I'm going to fast forward a bit. And my game crashes. Now, this is what we love to see. So, that's great. That's great. You know what? If you guys have already been here for 45 minutes, you guys gotta sit with me while I restart my game for about a minute and a half. This is fantastic. I am one to adore Fortnite replays sometimes. I think we all can say Fortnite replays are perfect. They need no fixes. Now, we're waiting for the game to launch. Let's look at the Epic Game Store. Hogwarts Legacy. It's for free, chat. Go claim your Hogwarts Legacy. Get a free game. It's on me. I'm covering this for all of you guys. May the 4th be with you. Step into the Star Wars galaxy and explore legendary titles filled with action and adventure. 007 First Light. It's actually a game I'm actually excited about. I'm very much excited for 007 Dying Light. It's not Dying Light. It's a zombie game. Alright, now let's get back into it. Curve Veno. Game number 11. This is the first time you will be seeing this game. If you made it this far, chat, please leave a like, comment, sub, all those things. Let me know how you appreciate, like, how you like the very much long form VOD reviews. I plan on doing another one on Veno, and then I'm gonna switch back to like my shorter, like 20-ish minute long videos. But I really like these like longer Balla TW like style ones for grants. Part of the reason why I like them is I think it's important to like kind of have a time capsule of each grants, so that like you can like look back like years later and be like, oh, how did Veno like in Curve do so well? And you have like the entire game. Real quick, one important thing, something that Curve and Veno haven't really showed off so far is that they really like to tank on zones that pull far away. If you are going to tank, you do not want to tank this first zone. The reason why is if you start tanking when second zone starts closing, you can tank up until the end of the 2-tick without getting storm sickness. However, if you start tanking before the second zone starts closing, you lose that ability, and you are very, very limited when you are coming in on the 2-tick. This is a kind of variation on their default setup. Because they've conditioned the lobby so hard that no one plays in this area at all, they know that this lane to go up north is always going to be there. However, they don't often go north early. They like to play in Battlewood, play off their damage, and then just go in. The problem is, this game, they got almost nothing from glide control. They are essentially at true neutral surge. I talked about it before. When you are at true neutral surge, you want to do anything you can do to get a buffer. That way, when you have a buffer, if you had a bad 5th and 6th zone, your game is not over. So what are they going to do? They're going to use their prio on positioning, already being deep in this area, and instead of going deep, they're going to use it to fly over to Studios to go for a surprise play on them. This is all based off surge theory. The idea being that if you do not have a buffer, you need to create that buffer yourself. You cannot just simply play Fortnite without controlling your own destiny. I will continue to say that time and time again. You need to do everything you can to control your own destiny. So Curve, Veno, they go over and they start soft fighting. They're already up 100 damage, they get 50 more, and now they've created their own buffer. A trade. Veno's taken no damage in this fight. Curve has taken 60, but traded out that 60. So they're still up about 125 damage from this. And then Veno makes the calm, disengage, disengage, disengage. They fully leave this fight and they go back towards Battlewood. They will do everything in their power to ensure that they do not have a buffer. And then right there as they leave, Veno gets another 60 tag. So they net 190 damage from that. Now, because the second zone is closing at this very moment, they can now comfortably tank until the end game, because they don't have to worry about sickness until the 2-tick is over. This is like the only time, by the way, you will see Veno hold something that's not a spray gun, and that is because their surge is not great right now, and it is a gold nemesis. Even though it's not a true spray gun, it's still very, very strong. Then the Lord above decides to smile down upon Veno and bless him with 2 pizza boxes. So even though they don't have many shocks, they have so many whites right now. Once again, they are comfortable staying this late inside their POI, because they are not afraid of zone. They have so many whites. Their only issue right now is going to be the amount of shockwaves they have. However, they have so many fizz bombs that they can convert that very easily into some really, really strong rotates. So they have 5 fizz bombs. That's essentially like its own form of ability. They are going to go use TPs. I believe this is the only time they use TPs in the entire tournament, and it's because of their lack of shocks, I'd imagine. I do not think they made the stylistic choice of changing up their entire game plan, game 11 into the tournament. And then they find themselves in a similar position to what I talked about before, where if you are pretty close to the 4th zone, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, because you can wait here. Similar to what Cold and Rapid are doing right now, you see like a bunch of teams. You got Clicks Higgs over here. I assume one of these teams, actually I think this is Cold Acorn. You have a bunch of teams that are just sitting here waiting for the 5th zone to appear, and then once the 5th zone appears, they can just very easily wrap into a side. Veno claim Vending Machine as well. They're always going to have a ridiculous amount of gold coming out of Battlewood, so they can just easily buy patch-ups and conserve some of their heals, because they don't really have too many whites. They don't want to burn that pizza or burn too many splashes early. Come over, burns a fizz. The shocks does not work as they would hope. So things definitely get sketchy here. Honestly, not the best shockwaves, but I think this plays into what I talked about before, about how when they were able to get a little bit deep off like the priority of 5th, so either by getting deeper early, they found a lot more success. I think this is part of the reason why a lot of teams that tank zones struggled, is because when you get into this like edge of 5th late, you kind of really do suffer. There's already a bunch of teams that are going in edge with you, and so what happens is they all get stuck around the same time. If you look at the teams that are on this edge, a lot of them are teams that are playing Storm. You have Toronto, the team has 2 curves south. You have Power and VLEX, which are the team bottom right. Rapid, we already saw tanking. We have Higgs Clicks, who are a tanking team. And we have Visuals Braids, who are also a tanking team. All of these teams essentially get to the same kind of shitty spot on this 5th zone whereas a lot of other teams are able to get to better 5th zone spots, and we saw all day when Veno had the opportunity to get into better 5th zone spots when he didn't have a bad zone, he was able to feast. They do get absolutely blessed, though, with this 6th zone pull. If it had been a bad 6th zone pull, I think they'd be in a pretty bad position right now, for being honest with ourselves. Six zone pops. They can tell this team needs surge, so they immediately invest mats. They are always willing to invest mats. The reason why you have to be willing to invest mats is you have to view it as an investment in yourself. You are essentially trading mats for guarantees that you are going to stay alive. Also, really important, even though they're not able to get this body, by thirsting this body, they force Light's hand. Light has to aggro them now. Light is going to be so far below. They know that. They double spray when he goes to edit. And now, even though it was not safe for them to get the body off rip, because they thirst the body, they force the player's hand. Stop, stop, stop. I beg of you, whoever is watching this, I am reaching my hand out towards my monitor. I want you to do the same thing. If you see a knocked body, someone that needs surge, do not rush it. If you just thirst that body, that's an extra 100 damage. That player is down. An extra 100 damage. That player's teammate is down. He will do something stupid. You will be able to capitalize off that. Do not rush in. The amount of times I see players rush for bodies of loot on someone that is dying to sickness is maddening. It is maddening. It gives me agita. It makes me sick to my stomach. Don't make PeanutBrainTS TSknows sick to his stomach. That's the takeaway. From here, once again, another spray, able to once again convert a basically double spray with spray guns into a kill. I think that's what, like the 10th we've seen so far. And they get another one. Once again, they switch over focus. They want to make sure they have an idea of how they're going to rotate that. When Veno sees it's not really an ideal insta-go, he goes back to looking for a kill. Once again, a bit of a bad shock rotate. If we're being honest, this game 11 has been kind of marred by bad shock rotates. It's a bonus little word of the day for you. If you want to look smart in your next essay, use the word marred. Marred in controversy. Once again, another game where them having spray guns nets them another kill. Again, it is because they got in earlier and then sprayed towards the majority of the lobby. Every time they've been a little bit separated from the lobby is when they've netted the most benefit of having these spray weapons. Really good awareness play by him there. Really good discipline by Veno there to never hesitate and just keep spraying. Realizes that player is holding that left edge, cuts middle. Love that adjustment. Sometimes it's not worth going to open space if someone's denying that open space from you, so cutting middle there is super strong, and then later on he ends up cutting back over to that open space. Little teeny tarps to front side. Able to drop Poyo in. Really good awareness by Curve there, staying disciplined on that cone edit. Again, even though they have less whites this game, like I said before, every kill in its own way is a win condition. They are already off Fizz Bomb, if they get a kill there, it gives them the possibility and the opportunity to go up for height, as well as the fact that, once again, it's a very forgiving meta for getting kills like that. You just got to make sure that when you go for opportunities like that, you are not taking too long. If you go for a kill like that and you take 2-3 seconds to kill that player, that is when it's a very, very bad play. If you are not able to end your fights fast, you should not be playing aggressively like Veno is. Once again, using his prio on position to try and leverage those bottom edits. Veno playing a little parkour. They always say, everyone says this, in order to win an FNCS, you gotta be good at death runs. Everyone's been saying that. Veno proving right there that he is correct. Able to drop down, once again, converts with spray gun into another kill. One of the key things is whenever Veno is looking for a kill, he really prioritizes looking down from his lane. So he tries to control his lane and then convert that into looking down. I don't know how I've just made that a highlighter, but he converts it into looking down. Almost always he is looking down. He clears his layer and then looks down behind him. Essentially has Curve act as like a second pump most of the time when he's looking for kills. Once again, just beautiful. This is the power of having just like really strong spray guns. And allows him to do things like that. Gets pressured by second height. Drops down. Continuing to use their priority on position in front of teams to try and look back for their kills. This is how they continually look for their kills. They look back at teams they cut off, but they cut them off from a different layer. That is always how he consistently finds his kills. Veno gets boxed by Higgs, almost gets punished. I'm going to play that back real quick from Curve because this is a very strong play by Curve, and I wanted to show you what happened to Veno there real quick before it happened. We get this kill on Ziftaruni. Ziftaruni, really shocking Grand performance. Proud of the kid. I think it's his first Grands. He won a game. Good on him. Be positive parries. Curve kind of baits Veno, jumps up, gets that fucking side pump off, takes down Higgs. I'm so flabbergasted. I think that's the first time I've ever said the F word on this channel. I apologize to all the kids out there, but it is a bit late for me. It's 1:44. I'm a bit tired. I apologize. I do try and keep things family friendly around here. Drop back down. Instantly hyper focus on Higgs and Click's backside. They know they are still playing zone. Clicks and Higgs able to retake height from them. Really strong play by Clicks to get that res off. I know in the grand scheme of things it didn't really matter because they underperformed, but that's a very strong play. From here, they have no match. They're forced to commit down. But again, because they've had so many kills, it doesn't even matter if they die right now. This has already been like an 80-point game. This has already been a great game. This is basically a win. You know, they get mats. Curve, not having that much white HP, tries to follow him, gets punished. Veno now forced to solo clutch. And then Muzz able to track him down. I think the issue there was that Veno just did not start crouching early enough. So both Muzz and Sphinx, sorry, Higgs, not Muzz, just Higgs, able to track him down because he has the visuals on him. Overall, though, an incredibly strong tournament from Veno. I'm going to end it right here. It is 1:45 in the morning for me. I apologize if anyone is actually offended that I cursed there. I do try and do my best to not curse in my videos because I try to make these videos for all ages. Hope you guys, if you made it this far, like, comment, subscribe. Hour and 5-minute VOD review. I'm going to try and make one on Sky and Troll in the next coming days, probably at like Sunday, Monday, something like that. Appreciate you guys all and hope you guys all have a lovely day and a lovely life.